again to another Phil Reed's Hikes video. These first few pictures are our trip from the backpackers parking lot at Grayson Highlands on the spur trail up to the Appalachian Trail as it cuts through Grayson Highlands State Park. A view at the turnoff on the crest of the AT through the park. We're going to drop down now into the trees. We're heading to the Wise Shelter. They'd been having a drought, but some of the streams were still flowing pretty good. The leaves were changing down low. It's really pretty going into the forest. Got some beautiful pictures on my Sony a6000. Some adjustments in Adobe Lightroom to help out the color saturation just a bit. Alright, here we are approaching the Wise Shelter. Technically you're not supposed to camp around the shelter area. There were few campers set up in tents. There's the shelter. Here we are crossing Wilson Creek, which also serves as the boundary for the National Forest. Once you're out of the park and into the National Forest, you can camp anywhere you want. There had previously been some, that's a little snake we saw as we were setting up our tents.
King crap there.
I was helping lead a trip. We had a bunch of newbies on it.
Yeah.
This guy, he aggravated the shit out of me.
Now the snake was reported to be a copperhead. Iris do to sit around.
It's nice and cool.
This is our favorite meadow for camping, just across Wilson Creek from the fence line into Grayson's. We always make this our Friday night stop. It's about a 2-mile trip from the parking lot. A follow-up on the snake. It's now reported to be just a water snake or some sort of garter snake, not a copperhead. Maybe just a look-alike. It didn't matter. We were all pretty excited to see it, and not in a good way. Just a couple of stills I took with the tripod I carried in there. Group photo, that's me on the left, then Dennis and Jen, and then Gunny. Next morning, headed up over on the Appalachian Trail, through a forest, over a hill, and into a really beautiful area called the Scales.
Out here.
Nice shot of Jen and Dennis. Now here I'm experimenting with a little video magic using Adobe Premiere. Magically fade in. And then magically fading in, fading out. Nice little technique. The wild ponies of Grayson Highlands were out in force, but the herd of Texas Longhorn, which free roam during the summer, had been rounded up and were all but gone. They round them up as soon as the grass stops growing, and because of the drought, it looks like they rounded them up pretty early. Normally in October we can see them, and it's a great photo opportunity. Our first glimpse of the scales, a big wide open area, fenced in area where in former days animal herds would be gathered there and weighed for market and then picked up by truck. It's pretty cool, actually. There's Gunny walking over to these guys on horses to tell them we saw two little calves running around, two little dogies that they had maybe not seen and still needed to herd. Apparently the reply was, we're not going to be able to catch them. I don't know what that means. Alright, we're leaving the scales, headed up to the crest trail where we'll turn
So far,
west
it's not raining.
and head on the crest trail to what we intended to be our first campsite, where there's a nice spring. View off the crest trail on our way to our campsite. We did spot 2 tents in our area, so we're going to have a little bit of a crowd. Going over that way. There's the gang. We're on the crest trail. It's getting ready to drop into the trees. We're at about 5,000 feet. Still on the crest trail, headed towards our campsite. There's our campsite. A couple of tents there. So, we're going to camp there anyway. That's Wilburn Ridge. Right there, those mountains there. To the parking lot tomorrow. Reaching Rhododendron Gap from the crest trail. We passed by our campsite. The spring is dry, and the spring next to the campsite was dry too. Well, it was muddy. So we are heading to Rhododendron Gap, and there's another spring there. Okay, I'm in my tent. It's 4:24. We're just off of Rhododendron Gap and the Crest Trail, and the rain has started. The rain started when we were putting up the tents. We were able to find a spring without going to Thomas Knob with all the Boy Scout troops. So there's a few groups up here. I was able to locate the spring. So got the water and it's starting to purify. Now just to wait to see if this rain's going to stop or it's going to last all night. Follow up. It did rain all night. It rained until about 8 o'clock in the morning. Still drizzling when we got up, so we wound up eating dinner and breakfast in the tents. Camera had to be put away, and unfortunately I didn't bring my waterproof camera. Oh well, maybe next time. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe.